28. We begin the chapter by looking at some of the relevant facts that describe unemployment. In particular, we examine these three questions. How does the government measure the economy's rate of unemployment? What problems arise in interpreting the unemployment data? How long are the unemployed typically without work? So, the questions that we seek answers to are how is unemployment measured? What is the natural rate of unemployment? Why are there always some people unemployed? How is unemployment affected by unions and minimum wage laws? What is the theory of efficiency wages? And how does it help explain unemployment rate? So let's look at some labor force statistics. It's, these statistics are produced by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS, in the US Department of Labor. They are based on regular surveys of 60,000 households, based on adult population 16 years or older. BLS divides population into three groups: employed, paid employees, or self-employed, and unpaid workers in a family business. Unemployed, people not working who have looked for work during previous 4 weeks. And not in the labor force, that's everyone else. So labor force is calculated as the number employed plus the number unemployed, the total number of workers. Unemployment rate is the percent of the labor force that is unemployed, and the formula is the number unemployed divided by the labor force times 100. Another statistic we calculate is labor force participation rate. That's the percent of adult population that is in the labor force. And the formula is the labor force divided by adult population times 100. Here is an exercise. Compute the labor force, unemployment rate, adult population, and labor force participation rate. You're given adult population of the United States by group June 2016. Number employed was 151.1 million. Number unemployed was 7.8 million. Not in the labor force is 94.5 million. Labor force is equal to number employed plus number unemployed, and that is 151.1 million plus 7.8 million. Total labor force is 158.9 million. Unemployment rate is number unemployed divided by the labor force times 100, and that would be 7.8 million divided by 158.9 million times 100, and that's 4.9%. Population is equal to the labor force plus not in the labor force. That would be 158.9 plus 94.5, and that is 253.4 million. Labor force participation rate is equal to the labor force divided by the population times 100, and that would be 158.9 divided by 253.4 times 100, and that would be 62.7%. Labor force statistics for different groups. The BLS publishes these statistics for demographic groups within the population. These data reveal widely different labor market experiences for different groups. And you will see the groups white male and white female, black male, black female. 20 years or older, and you can see the data. Also, teens, 16 to 19, divided into white teens and black teens. They have a different labor market experience. All ages, Asian and Hispanic, 3.5 unemployment rate, labor force participation rate is 63.2%, Hispanic 5.8% unemployment rate, labor force participation rate is 65.6%. If you group it by education, adults 25 years or older, less than high school, have a slightly higher unemployment rate, 7.5%, and their labor force participation rate is 45.2%. Those with high school diploma slightly lower than people with less than high school, so that would be 5% unemployment rate, and their labor force participation rate is 57.2. Folks with some college or associate degree have still lower unemployment rate and higher labor force participation. Folks with a bachelor's degree or more have still lower unemployment rate, 2.5, and labor force participation rate is 74.4. There is a learning activity. In each of the following, what happens to the unemployment rate? Does unemployment rate give an accurate impression of what is happening in the labor force? Sue lost her job and begins looking for a new one. John is a steel worker who has been out of work since his mill closed last year because becomes discouraged and gives up looking for work. Sam, the sole earner in his family of five, just lost his $80,000 job as a research scientist. Immediately, he takes part-time job at McDonald's until he can find another job. Sue, who lost her job and begins looking for another one, unemployment rate rises. A rising unemployment rate gives the impression that labor market is worsening, and it is. John, who has been out of work and is discouraged, discouraged workers would like to work but have given up looking for a job, classified as not in the labor force rather than employed. Unemployment rate falls because John is no longer counted as unemployed. A falling unemployment rate gives the impression that the labor market is improving, but is really not. Number C, Sam, who lost his $80,000 job and takes a part-time job at McDonald's until he can find another one. Unemployment rate remains unchanged because a person is employed whether they work full-time or part-time. Things are worse, but unemployment rate fails to show that. What does unemployment rate really measure? Unemployment rate is not a perfect indicator of joblessness or health of the labor market. It excludes discouraged workers. It does not distinguish between full time and part time work or people working part time because full time jobs are not available. Some people misreport their work status. With this, it's still a very useful barometer of the labor market economy. Duration of unemployment. Most spells of unemployment are short. Typically, one third of the unemployed have been unemployed under 5 weeks. Two-thirds have been unemployed under 14 weeks. Only 20% have been unemployed over 6 months. Yet, most observed unemployment is long term. The small group of long term, that 20% unemployed, has fairly little turnover, so it accounts for most of the unemployment observed. Knowing these facts helps policymakers design better policies to help the unemployed. Cyclical unemployment versus natural rate. There is always some unemployment, though the unemployment rate fluctuates from year to year. Natural rate of unemployment is the normal rate of unemployment around which the actual unemployment rate fluctuates. The cyclical unemployment is the deviation of unemployment from its natural rate. It's associated with business cycles, which we will study in later chapters. This picture from Fred shows the picture of unemployment from 1960 to 2015. Explaining the natural rate, an overview. Even when the economy is doing well, there is always some unemployment, including frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Frictional unemployment occurs when workers spend their time searching for the jobs that best suit their skills and tastes. Short term for most workers. Structural unemployment occurs when there are fewer jobs than workers. Usually it's long term. Job search. Workers have different tastes and skills, and jobs have different requirements. Job search, therefore, is a process of matching workers with appropriate jobs. Sectoral shifts, changes in the composition of demand across industries or regions of the country, displace some workers who must search for new jobs appropriate for their skills and tastes. Public policy and job search. Government employment agencies provide information about job vacancies to speed up the matching of workers with jobs. Public training programs aim to equip workers displaced from declining industries with the skills needed in growing industries. Unemployment insurance. Unemployment insurance is a government program that partially protects workers' income when they become unemployed. It increases frictional unemployment. People respond to incentives. If you give them incentive to stop working, they will stop working. Unemployment insurance benefits end when workers take a job, so workers have less incentive to search or take jobs while eligible to receive benefits. Benefits of unemployment insurance. It reduces uncertainty over incomes, gives the unemployed more time to search, resulting in better job matches and thus higher productivity. Structural unemployment explained. The structural unemployment occurs when there are not enough jobs to go around. It occurs when wage is kept above equilibrium, creates unemployment up there. There are three reasons for this. Number one, the minimum wage. Minimum wage may exceed the equilibrium wage for the least skilled or experienced workers, causing structural unemployment. But this group is a small part of the labor force, so the minimum wage can't explain most unemployment. The second one is labor unions. Labor union is a workers' association that bargains with employers over wages, benefits, and working conditions. It exerts their market power to negotiate higher wages for workers. The typical union worker earns 20% higher wages and gets more benefits than a non union worker for the same type of work. Unions raise the wage above equilibrium. Quantity of labor demanded falls and unemployment results. It creates insider-outsider problem. Insiders are workers who remain employed and are better off because they are receiving higher union wages. Outsiders are workers who lose their jobs and are clearly worse off. Some outsiders go to non union labor markets, which increases labor supply and therefore reduces wages in those non union markets. Are unions good or bad? Economists disagree. They debate over it all the time. Critics think unions are cartels. They raise wages above equilibrium, which causes unemployment and or depresses wages in non-union labor markets. Advocates uh, Advocates think union counter the market power of large firms, make firms more responsive to workers' demands, and the debate continues. Efficiency wages. The theory of efficiency wages. Firms voluntarily pay above equilibrium wages to boost worker productivity. Different versions of efficiency wage theory suggest different reasons why firms pay higher wages. Number one, worker health. In less developed countries, poor nutrition is a common problem. Paying higher wages allows workers to eat better, make them healthier and more productive. Number two, worker turnover. Hiring and training new workers is costly, so they pay higher wages, which gives workers more incentives to stay and therefore reduce turnover. Worker quality. Offering higher wages attracts better job applicants, increases quality of the firm's workforce. And number four, worker effort. Workers can work hard or shirk. Shirkers are fired if caught. Is being fired a good deterrent? Probably. Depends on how hard it is to find another job. If market wage is above equilibrium wage, there aren't enough jobs to go around, so workers have more incentive to work, not shirk. Active learning number three. Which of the following would be most likely to reduce frictional unemployment? Number A, government eliminates the minimum wage. Number B, government increases unemployment insurance benefits. Number C, a new law bans labor unions. Number D, more workers post their resumes at LinkedIn.com and more employers use LinkedIn.com to find suitable workers to hire. Number E, sectoral shifts become more frequent. Number A and B, government eliminates the minimum wage. And number A, number C, new laws ban labor union. These are likely to reduce structural unemployment, but not frictional unemployment. Number B, government increases unemployment insurance benefits. And number E, sectoral shifts become more frequent. These are likely to increase frictional unemployment, not reduce it. Number D, more workers post their resumes at LinkedIn.com, and more employers use LinkedIn.com to find suitable workers to hire, likely to speed up the process of matching workers and jobs, which would reduce frictional unemployment. Explaining the natural rate of unemployment, a summary. The natural rate of unemployment consists of frictional unemployment. It takes time to search for the right job, and even if there are enough jobs to go around. Structural unemployment. When wage is above equilibrium, not enough jobs, minimum wages, labor unions, and efficiency wages in later chapters. In later chapters, we will learn about cyclical unemployment, the short term fluctuations in unemployment associated with business cycles. Summary. The unemployment rate is the percentage of those who would like to work who do not have jobs. Unemployment and labor force participation vary widely across demographic groups. The natural rate of unemployment is the normal rate of unemployment around which the actual rate fluctuates. Cyclical unemployment is the deviation of unemployment from its natural rate and is connected to short term economic fluctuations. The natural rate includes frictional unemployment and structural unemployment. Frictional unemployment occurs when workers take time to search for the right jobs. Structural unemployment occurs when above equilibrium wages result in a surplus. Three reasons for above equilibrium wage includes minimum wage laws, union, and efficiency wages. And that's the end of chapter 28.